Welcome back, everyone, to the Empowered Podcast. If you've not been here before, my name is Emily Arth. I am a psychotherapist, educator, and creator, and this is a place where I talk about ways to connect your head and your heart to help you live the most abundant life possible. Thank you for coming back to join us for this special series, which is called the HEALER'S GUILD, in which I am introducing you to an array of different healers who are speaking about how their modalities can help you overcome difficulties in your life. So today I'm honored to introduce you to Grant McPeetie. He is the owner of Salamander Sterling, and he is a writer, teacher, and psychic reader. His greater life purpose is to serve as a conduit for that which is beyond our greater comprehension. He serves as a messenger for the mystery, who is going to speak to us about how his work is important within the context of personal growth and healing. He is a fearless messenger for the divine. So thank you, Grant, for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me, Emily.
Most
I'm really happy to be here. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, would you start today by telling us a little bit about your personal journey and how this life work developed, how you got on this path and whatnot?
Well, believe me, I never expected, I never in my childhood ever thought, oh, one day I'll be a psychic. Yeah, no, that never crossed my mind. What happened was that I was taught the tarot in college, and within a week, I had surpassed the man who had taught me, and he was like, Grant, there's something going on here with you. You need to follow up on this, because that's bang zing right there. And so I started to study it and found my favorite deck, which is the Thoth deck, which I've been using for years. And so the progress of psychic development is, first, you're going to have some talent, not a whole bunch, but, it helps if you've got a little bit of intuition in you, some gut instincts, some women's intuition, whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't always start up here with visions and bursts of light and, the Excalibur on the lake. No, it doesn't do that at first. That comes later. But at first it is, you have these gut feelings, and you'll have sensations in your body and things like that. And that's like the path that started leading me, telling me that I was going in the right direction, that I was getting the right answers and stuff like that. Then I feel like I got to the language portion of it, where I learned the meanings of the cards and I started speaking the language. Like, I would, based on my gut, I would know whether, like, say the Chariot card means a car or a journey or kicking ass, because sometimes that's what it means. And then one day I realized that someone was actually talking to me. That's when I was like, oh my gosh, this is not just symbols and stuff. This is a language, and they're freaking talking to me right now. And that changed everything, because that was when, like, the people, folks, spirits, energies, subconscious, whatever you want to call it, started talking through me. And then the next process was the process of surrendering to that, of allowing myself to say things that normally I would not be comfortable saying. Yeah. And you build these resistances, especially to telling people bad stuff. You're like, oh, I don't want to tell them that grandma's going to die or whatever, because when I first approached it, it was really as, telling people's fortunes, predicting the future. They would come to me. I mean, the three things people want to know about are wealth, health, and love life. Those are big. And the spirits weren't having it, though. I'd sit down with someone, and they'd say, oh, I need to know about my career. And they'd be all like, no, man, you've got issues. And that would be the spirits coming out. And they're not talking about your career, buddy. This looks like your dad and your mom, and there's these things going on. And what happened with that last job you were in? And they would take control. And this was when I really started being an opportunity for what we call the spirit guides to actually speak to them directly, and they get so excited. The spirit guides would be like, "Oh my gosh, we get to talk to them directly right now!" And so the more and more that I learned to surrender, the more excited the spirits would get about working with me. They'd be all like, "Oh, he'll say anything, anything at all," you know. I remember this one experience I was having. I was talking to a woman who, she was a teacher, and she was having trouble at work, and she was thinking about leaving her job. And so we were talking about things and all this stuff, and I was resisting. I was resisting so hard. And right before I hung up the phone, I said to her, "You are in physical danger." And I could see this big kid, and she quit the job. And a few days later, she called me and said that the day after she walked off, one of the other teachers had been attacked and put in the hospital. She's like, "Grant, I think you saved my life that day." And I was like, "I'll say anything you want. Anything you want. I will say it. I will not resist anymore." Yeah, and because I was like, okay, you know, there's several times that they held my face to the fire and said, "This is what you are." I mean, before the 9/11, oh my gosh. Wow. That's a totally other podcast. But it really, yeah, I felt like I was recruited for this job, that once they figured out that that I was creative enough for them to get me to imagine the things they wanted me to see and stuff like that, that was when they really clicked in on interest. And then when I would started to say anything that they wanted to say, and then the last threshold of me becoming a real good counselor is me sharing my stuff, you know. And they'll say directly to me, "Grant, tell the shopping cart story." And I'll be like, "Okay," and I'll tell that story, and I won't know why, exactly what's going on with that person, about why they need to hear this particular story, but they seem to respond. You know, they know what it means, you know. And that's the other part that I've gotten used to. And when I talk to other readers who are getting very satisfying readings, I mean personally satisfying for them, they say it's when I can just relax and I don't know what I'm saying, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I can just let it go. And that's, to me, the best place to be too, is I don't know what I'm saying. And I'll say that to my client. I'll say, "I have no idea. This is not a conversation between me and you. This is between you and them, and I'm the freaking telephone," you know. And so they get this perfect counselor who is their spirit guide, and I just get to be the conduit and get to ride along and experience it and everything. And sometimes, wow, I would get, when I was reading regularly, a week before I'd go into my regularly scheduled reading, they would start talking to me. I'd be having emotional experiences and stuff, and I'd go to them and I'd go, "What is this about?" and stuff. And then I'd get into the reading and I'd go, I'd say that creepy psychic thing that they say, "I've been expecting you," you know, because they really had been prepping me for a week for, you know, my clients. And I was like, and then I'd lay down one card and talk for 5 minutes, and then the spirit would actually nudge me and say, "You need to lay some more cards," you know, because they had given me enough material that once I knew, this is who they've been speaking to me about all week, and I'd have my stories already, you know. I'd tell the parable of this or that, or so, and then
I'm going to interject for just a
yeah,
second
good.
and say that that's something that's incredible about anyone, I think, who's any type of a healing channel, that you become aware of the fact that when you open yourself to be a channel for other people's healing, that your life, you know, is inextricably connected to other people. And you start paying attention to, who is that for? Or, you know, how for you experience more direct interaction with spirits, with voices and things like that, it sounds like, or visions. Whereas like for me, I noticed that a lot of the way that I channel is through like metaphor or analogy. And there are these analogies that will just come to me when I'm with, you know, a certain person, that are not things that I learned or rehearsed, but are like the way that person needs to receive that message. And
Yeah.
so, it depends, I think, because some people don't understand. I think, there's a lot of like woo woo around. What are you talking about when you're saying you're talking to spirit, or is this like devil worship? And what is the tarot? I've heard that the tarot is like evil. So could you speak to that a little bit? Like, what is the tarot to you?
Oh, sure thing. So, well, the tarot is a very complex map of the universe, according to the Kabbalah, which is one of the, okay, now the Kabbalah is the closest recorded source of this information, but we're pretty sure that it goes back into Egypt and was associated with the god Ra and things like that. So, but the important part of it, when it relates to the tarot, whatever its original origins, is that it creates this map of the universe which is called the Tree of Life, which is totally different than most images of the Tree of Life, which are actually a placenta. No, it is not the placenta image. It is this, and it's also a map of the human being at several different levels. Yeah, it kind of like the top of the map has our head, then our shoulders, and then you can look at it that way. You can see like the left side, there's the left pillar and the right pillar, and one is what we would call good and the other is evil, generally speaking. And so the cards weave between like these basic, really fundamental forces, and with God at the very top of the tree, which I compare it to a Christmas tree. I said, God is at the start of the tree, and manifestation is down at the presence of the tree. So we're down in the presence, and God is way up there. And so this Tree of Life maps out the universe between us and God, basically. And so the tarot is all of the paths in between.
Yeah.
The major arcana is 22 paths, and then there are 10 circles on the tree that are the 1 through 10, and they've got court cards in there too. In the middle of what is the human consciousness, that's where the court cards sit. So
even more basically, because I'm also into tarot, but nowhere near the extent of practice that you've had. I think of it almost as like a pictorial description of these universal truths or universal experiences that a human would have. And so for people that aren't familiar with divination tools, which is, tarot is a tool that we use for divination. These are really just tools that we use to help us have a conversation with the divine. So you might even think of tarot as like almost like a picture book, right? Like these pictures have meaning, and we're having a conversation with the divine, that the messages are coming in through pictures. Art, and meaning.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we entered an age where, we had, I guess, illiteracy was enormous. And so a lot of spiritual teachings were done in the form of pictures. That's why they had the cathedral windows and things like that, was because, an image literally is worth 1,000 words. And you could look at that's just one image and tell enormous stories. I mean, we have a planet has a single name and an enormous mythology behind that name. So, and that's kind of like the tarot. Every card has a mythology behind it, stories behind it, and things like that speak to our culture. Yeah, so it is in many ways a culture book too. Yeah, and also like some of the maps of human experiences and stuff like that. Some of the stuff is so basic. Death, the lovers, these are things you're going to experience in life. A lot of it. Great changes like the tower. Yeah. So there's a lot of
I love that the tarot teaches you also some of the subtleties of meaning, so like there's a devil card in tarot, but that's not necessarily, that's not, a lot of people think like, oh, devil card, what does that mean, but that can mean like Capricorn, it can mean being hardworking, right? But can also mean like negativity or obsessions in your life or things like that.
Or addictions.
Yeah.
When I get the devil card, that's like the 8 out of 10 that meaning that I get for it is addictions. Yeah. And there's, because we have so many now, you know, Coca-Cola, clean air, you know, things like that.
So
So,
can you speak to us then about how do you use the tools that are in your toolbox to help people overcome difficulty in their life or heal or get on a path of healing or navigate that path?
well, when you're working in a magical modality, then there are basically two forces that I think about. And one is move energy, and the other one is shift consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And with dogature, we have a visitor. This is a dog. Okay, she's very cute. She has no psychic abilities. Here you go.
Yes, she does.
Yes, she does. She can detect food from anywhere on the planet. Okay, so what was I saying?
You were saying you're working within a magical modality.
Oh yeah, yeah. That I basically think of two different things going on: either moving energy and shifting consciousness. Um, with tarot, you're dealing like 90% with shifting consciousness, and I am not. It's not just about shifting my consciousness; it's about shifting theirs too, into a place where they can heal. And for me, that means a place where they are receptive to what their spirits are saying. And that is oftentimes a place of vulnerability. So the work that is so similar to your work is getting the client comfortable with the work they're about to do. And for me to do that, oftentimes the stories that I tell, which, you know, the spirits are like, tell this story. I'm like, you know, you're asking me to open up personal details about me. And they're like, of course we are. Yeah, you got to get the client relaxed, and that means you have to open up and be vulnerable and be exposed, and that's part of the process of working with them.
Modeling that vulnerability. So
Yeah,
why
yeah,
is it vulnerable?
shifting.
Can you speak to, like, when someone comes to see you, what would they expect to get out of that experience if they had never had an experience like that before? What does it look like?
There's oftentimes more pain than they think going in. Yeah, I don't like it when I bring clients to tears, but I know when that happens that they've probably done some good work right there, you know. And it's always them doing the work, you know what I'm saying? It's their spirit guides that are, and if you believe in spirit guides, if you don't, then I'm reading their damn minds, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, pardon me. Then, you know, then it's all me, and I'm doing some type of psychic interaction because I am saying stuff I should not know, you know. And yeah, and stuff that I have no idea what I really mean, you know. I'll be like, you know, there's this person, and because that's all the tarot will be giving me. Yeah, they
So
give
do
me
people
just
typically come to you with a specific question or interest?
yes, yeah, like the three main interests are usually health, career, not really wealth, but they want to know about their career, and then love life. Yeah, I get a lot of soulmate questions, and wow, the soulmate question turns into personal counseling so very quickly. Yeah, because the message that I get many times is it boils down to that your soulmate is out there, but not for you, for the person you are going to become. That's when the magnetic resonance will kick in. And they're like, the person I'm going to become, I was like, yeah, you remember that person that you used to be when you were 14 years old? Well, that person is long gone. This person that you are today will be long gone. And and that's hard because that place between where you are and the whatever magical place that the soulmate, you know, starts to manifest, that's not an easy uh, place to face, because that's all about, you know, your personal growth most of the time. Sometimes it's like, oh man, you're going to be in a really terrible place when you meet your soulmate, not in the happy place you are now. And I'm just, you know what I'm saying? But either way, whether it's you need to grow, yeah, you
And
need
I'm
a
glad you
team.
bring out
Yeah,
that point about soulmates, because I think that whenever someone, like, I mean, for me, you know, when people come to psychotherapy, they don't typically identify soulmate, right? But
yeah,
they do want to have healthy relationships, or they do want to have, like you said, success in social relationships or
yeah,
business or whatever it is that they're doing. And I think that a lot of times people get attached to, um, I have this expectation. I have this thing that I expect to have. And maybe when I go to someone like you or any other type of healer, I expect you to give me the key to that.
oh yeah,
And we don't have the keys, but we do have knowledge about navigating the path. And so
yeah,
things like a soulmate, all of this is about your own healing. Like you
yeah,
said, this resonance that you don't come into the resonance of abundance or prosperity or true love or any of those things if you don't have that resonance within yourself first. And none
right,
of us like to hear that, right? Because it's like,
mm,
well, I just want to
mm-mm,
reach out here and get what I want.
yeah,
I don't want to have to go inside and look at that and take care of what is not working in there.
exactly, yeah. Uh, Truly, yeah. And with the soulmate one, and then I can't say, it's hard for me to say to them, from the spiritual perspective, I don't believe in soulmates. That's not really what's going on here. You have multiple contracts. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller, but even the guy you never should have dated ever, you had a contract with him too. He's not your soulmate, but yeah, you stole his baloney, and that's now you have karma for that. And so, you know what I'm saying? It's just like,
Yes. And so that's a good point
yeah,
too, that when we're looking at growth from a spiritual path, from a spiritual perspective, we
yeah,
don't see things as like mistakes or
yeah.
irreversible, marks on our record, that
Oh,
everything
yeah,
is for our highest good. Everything is for our learning and growth. But sometimes it's, how do I figure out what the learning or growth was supposed to, or is supposed to be?
yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Um,
So can
oh,
you speak
yeah.
to the vulnerability though? So why is this so vulnerable for people when they work with you?
Uh, because it seems like I know things. It seems like, you know, I mean, you feel like I've rooted you, that I've just dug right into you and looked right through you. And that's not the experience I'm having. I'm having it kind of, I'm saying, I'm babbling stuff. That's my experience, is I'm babbling stuff. But their experience is, oh my God, he's digging right into me, because that's what the spirits are doing, is they are rooting you. They're like, let's cut to the chase. And yeah. And yeah, so there'll be many times when then they'll ask me a question, and I'll lay the first card, and I'm like, that ain't what we talking about. They have a total different agenda for you today. Yeah, they are really excited to talk to you, and this is their headline is this, and that's, your question is not their highest priority today. They're very concerned about other things. Yeah, because they do want to intercede sometimes. Yeah, and it's like, this is an opportunity to keep something bad from going down.
So,
Or yeah, yeah,
well, Grant, in as we're wrapping up, I really appreciate you kind of sharing with us just a 101 version, right, of the
yeah,
work that you do and how it works from your perspective and what types of benefits people can expect to get out of it. I was wondering if, as we wrap up, if maybe you would pull a card for the collective right now, and what we need as a collective group right now to work
sure
on
thing.
our healing and growth.
Ay, gotta get all the talkies out of me. This is the part of the shift consciousness part of the process. The shuffling. I don't need to shuffle. But the ritual. I used to do this ritual where I would get up in the morning and smoke, and then drift off into the ether with my spirits. And one day I looked down, and 2 hours had passed. I hadn't lit the pipe. I had done nothing. I had just sat down, and the ritual alone had caused the shift. I didn't need a crutch. Yeah, that So these rituals tell everyone what I'm about to do. Tell myself, tell the spirits that this is what's about to happen. For the collective, welcome to school, kids. Yeah, it's a whole new world now, and you're gonna have to relearn everything. Yeah, and it's gonna be rough because this is the moment in the tarot. There's this card, Judgment Day, you know, and there's also another card, the World. Now let's talk about the World one. That's more appropriate. The World, when you get that card, that means your goals are going to change. Usually it's because you've outgrown them. Like you don't collect Pokemon or or toys or thing. You outgrow goals, and you keep doing that as you mature. Well, we've just, as an entire planet, just outgrown our goals. And this card is the Princess of Discs, and it is talking about how the way that our material world works, we're all in school again. Yeah, we all have to relearn it. All the assumptions that we have about how we work and how we make our money and how we spend our money, and yeah, all that is now up for grabs. Health stuff changing, yeah, and we all just have to be patient with each other too, because we were all in school, and you were all trying to teach each other. And man, there's yeah, we're also in a new world of social media. We've never had a crisis like this in the social media era before. Yeah, I mean, if we compare like just the shift from 92 to today, where 92 was the LA riots, and today we have this worldwide, people in other countries are protesting for George Floyd and stuff like that. So we're really having to relearn so many things that are basic to our finances. In this particular image, the trees with their branches really resonated with, oh, that's the internet right there. That's, yeah, the ever branching, we don't get to consider, just ourselves. Our branches, all of our branches fly out everywhere in every decision we make. And yeah, no. But the nice thing about this card, another aspect to it that's really nice, is that we all will have to take so much and have the opportunities to take so much more personal responsibility for our own material world, our own success. We'll be closer to it, which probably means a little less hierarchy in business, a little bit less employee-employer relationship, and yeah, more like partnership relationships and stuff like that. Yeah.
I love that.
So that's nice. That's the nice thing. And that's a thing we all have to learn, I mean, we've been taught our whole lives, oh, you go out and get a job. No, you go and make your own business now. And you have to be able to do it from home. And you know what I'm saying? We have new rules of everything. It has to survive social distancing. It has to, yeah. So totally new set of rules for the future. And we're all having to learn them. And it's not all bad. I mean, I know that we're in the crunch right now, that this is what I call the bake time. I compare positive change to baking a cake. You put all the ingredients together, but it is just slop until it cooks, and that cooking is involuntary. It is painful. You don't get to decide when it's over with. Yeah, and that's what we're in right now, is the bake time of the changes right now. But I see the cake on the other side. I see that, and that's what I keep my eyes focused on. And there's some good things over there that are coming, coming our way. Our future is not bleak, and I've never believed the earth would be destroyed and stuff like that. But the changes that we're going to be making are ones that will save the planet, and will, because we just can't keep doing business, and it is the way we do our business. The way we have been doing it anymore. We just can't. Yeah, and it starts from It starts from what we're teaching our kids to expect in school. It starts very right there. The idea that we're going to send our kids out and they're going to get jobs, and then they'll go to college, and it's not that world anymore. No, we all the whole internet is your university, and you can take junk classes your whole life, or you can learn some real stuff, but it's all right there. Totally different world now. So that's the big reading for the coming days is, wow, learn some new skills. Oh my gosh, the older you are, the harder it's going to be. Yeah, the world is turning into something so much more differently than you've not only been prepared for, but what you've been living in, all of your experiences. Yeah, so that's why we see a lot of the people crying about their freedoms being stepped on, and life circumstances that they're just like psychologically not prepared for. Yeah, I am not prepared for lockdown, and this must be violating me in some way. And I understand the feeling, but it's yeah, totally.
It's a
Oh my
learning.
gosh, I have to wear a seatbelt in my car. Really? Do you remember those protests? Yeah. Now it's just everyone wears it, and there's uh,
Exactly.
so it, people will get accustomed to it. They will, yeah. Um,
Well, thank you, Grant.
yeah.
I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate the message. For sure, we're all students of life, right? And we're in a
Yeah.
time right now where maybe those of us who felt that we had mastered it's time to be a student again, like you
Yeah.
said.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and we're
And
experiencing how to do things different, like what we're doing right now, and how everybody's connecting on Zoom. And I've seen so many
exactly.
valuable conversations open up to us that maybe we wouldn't have seen before.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so
Oh,
I thank you so much for taking your time out today to meet with us and to share your work with us. I definitely will link Grant's information under this video so that you can find more about his work and his offerings if you would like to work with him. And in the meantime, I am sending everyone abundant love and hoping that you're all learning new things out there as we conquer this new world together. Thank you for being with us today. Bye-bye.
thank you.